A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Oil deposits left behind by receding floodwaters in Sedavatha. Residents forced onto railway tracks. A flood of waste in Meethodumulla raises serious sanitation concerns. Attempt to remove people displaced by Bulatko Pitia landslide from temporary shelter sparks tensions. A 50 million rupee waste Doppler Radar system rots away on the Gongala peak.
And now the stories in detail. Residents of Sedavatha who were affected by the flooding are facing fresh danger as a result of crude oil mixing with the floodwaters surrounding their homes.
Layers of black oil could be seen around 60 homes on the Tudugala Mavatha and BJ Perera Mavatha in Sedavatha. Residents claim that oil from a pipeline leading to 3 storage tanks owned by the Petroleum Corporation located above the Rajarupitiya Canal has mixed with the flood water. Our houses are damaged because of the oil in those tanks. Our children can't go to school because their clothes are all destroyed. Just as the areas were flooded, we were inundated in oil. Our houses, children's clothes and all our properties are damaged. We will not go to any of our houses until the problem is resolved. We told them not to send oil, but they sent it secretly. We fought and tried to take them to the police. We showed the police officers in Velampitia how we have built these houses on the bund. While the floodwaters have receded, the deposits of oil have remained, making these homes uninhabitable. Residents are currently taking shelter on the railway line adjacent to Sedavatha.
Either they did this purposely or this was mixed to the water due to a technical issue. The officials were brought and informed in the minister's presence to take steps to resolve this problem. The relevant authorities should take steps to remove the oil as this is a serious condition. If these goods were caught to the flood water, we could have at least washed them. These houses can't be cleaned. Who is responsible for this?
Area residents point out that there is also a risk that the oil could contaminate the waters of the Kalani River, and as such, it is imperative that authorities take immediate action.
This is an area where crude oil was frequently transported to. The leaked oil has been absorbed by the soil and the oil sold illegally was caught to the flood waters. Apart from these problems that have occurred, there is no leakage in the tubes. I responsibly say that a voluntary group from the Petroleum Corporation has already taken steps to provide relief to the affected and to clean the area.
Residents of Meethodumulla whose homes were submerged by floodwaters are now facing a situation where they are being submerged in waste. This is a News First special report.
While most of their possessions were washed away from their homes by floodwaters, residents of Meethodumulla are now forced to live with waste that was brought in from the infamous Meethodumulla landfill. The people of Meethodumulla have always lived under the shadow of the landfill. Every day they put up with the unbearable stench emanating from the collected waste. One heavy shower is all it takes for waste from the landfill to flow into their homes via this black canal. This black water flows straight into their homes, seriously impacting the health of residents, especially small children. While the spread of disease has to be contended with following floods, the risks of the people of Meethodumulla have intensified due to waste from the landfill.
Children are falling sick, their knees are aching, they have fever. Some children have wounds all over their legs. We need medicine for this. We have always faced this waste problem. It would be good if it is cleaned up. Yesterday's rain inundated the house once again. This black-colored water flows into the house. There are small children here. We need a solution to this.
No one has come to look into this. They go to the other side, but no one ever comes to Meethodumulla. We are facing this sorrow through no fault of our own. It is this landfill that is causing these hardships. Several acres of wetlands known as the Pothubil Marsh is now nothing but landfill. Water does not collect there, waste does. We are suffering today because of the decisions of foolish leaders. The residents of Meetorumulla have a singular request: remove the landfill and give them and their children a chance for a breath of fresh air.
Parliamentarian S.M. Marika said today that a floodwater drainage project will be established in Kolonnawa with the aid from the World Bank amounting to $8 billion.
MP S.M. Marika expressed these views at an event to distribute dry rations to those displaced in the Salamulla area in Kolonnawa.
We all know that it takes just half an hour of rain for Kolonnawa to flood. The canals, wetlands, waterways and areas where water is usually collected have all been filled. A presidential task force has been appointed for this purpose. So I told His Excellency the President that this has happened because certain powerful figures in the country have reclaimed lands in Kolonnawa and made illegal constructions, and to please immediately give his approval to put an end to this. So a decision has been taken to immediately ban the illegal reclamation of land in Kolonnawa and for the government to take over illegally reclaimed lands to which deeds are to be obtained. Preparations are underway to fill up 2 acres of land on a particular side of Kolonnawa. None of this can be allowed.
The Irrigation Department announced this evening that with the exception of 2 major rivers, the water levels of all rivers in the country are at normal levels. Now, according to the department, the water levels of the Ginganga and Kaluganga have risen.
The Department of Irrigation noted that the Baddegama water level gauge on the Ginganga read 4.6 feet, which indicates danger of a possible flood situation. While flooding has been reported from low-lying areas downstream along the banks of the Ginganga, flooding has been reported in Baddegama, Vakwala and Ginthota. The Nagoda-Kuruppanava road has been submerged. Our reporter noted that croplands in the Ukwat area in Ginthota had been inundated. The Baddegama Gaul road has been inundated in Ganegama. While floodwaters have also inundated the Baddegama Agalia road, low-lying areas in Agalia are also experiencing flooding.
A tense situation arose when authorities attempted to remove people displaced by the landslide at the Khalupahane estate in Bulatkohupitia from a temporary shelter where they have taken refuge.
The order to evacuate was issued by the Bulatkohupitia Divisional Secretariat. Officials at the Secretary say the displaced people must be removed in order to reopen the school. Meanwhile, the Sri Sumangala Vidyalaya that housed those affected by the landslide on the Samasarakanda mountain in Aranayaka will be reopened tomorrow. However, a part of the school has been allocated to house the displaced persons. The children who are among the displaced persons housed in the school will not be able to commence schooling as the Ambalankanda school is still at risk from landslides. A couple who were among those displaced due to the heavy showers began their life as a married couple at the Singapitiya Dharmashrama Vihare in Gampula. This couple had planned a date for their wedding but could not go ahead due to the landslide which occurred in the Kasalakanda area in Ambuluawa, Gampula. The couple entered wedded life following Hindu religious traditions, giving their neighbours a distraction from their sorrows and a rare opportunity for joy and celebration.
While 3 years have passed since the Doppler Radar system purchased at a cost of 50 million rupees to improve weather forecast was rendered inoperational, no steps have been taken as yet to undertake repairs. Did the inoperational status of the radar system have an impact on the current disaster situation?
The Doppler radar system enables meteorologists to make more accurate predictions regarding areas that will experience rainfall, the intensity and duration of rainfall. While the radar system, conceptualized in 1842 by Christian Doppler, later evolved and was established in many countries, Sri Lanka only adopted the technology in 2011. The system was purchased at a cost of 50 million rupees from an American company and was established on the peak of Gongala mountain in Denyaya. It is claimed that the system was rendered inoperational even when it was being set up due to a technical fault. 5 years later, in the present day, no steps have been taken as yet to repair the system. Why is the Doppler radar system, which was established in Sri Lanka in 2011, still inoperational?
Although the system was brought to Sri Lanka in 2011, it was only affixed in 2013. After it was set up, certain technical faults arose. While the system was taken to the peak in 2013 to be set up, a crane was also needed. While the crane was being taken up the hill, it toppled on the road and the road was damaged. Thereby, the task of setting up the system was postponed further. Then the manufacturing company informed us that as a result, there has been some harm to the quality of the system. The system was purchased via the World Meteorological Organization. They conducted several examinations and have now concluded that the manufacturing company should repair the system. 2 parts of the system have been sent to the manufacturer in America for repairs.
This became inoperational in 2013 while it was being set up. 3 years have passed. Why was there such a delay in carrying out repairs?
The matter was handled between the manufacturer and the World Meteorological Organization, so they had taken some time.
50 million rupees of public funds were spent on this. Don't the delays and the inoperational status of the system amount to the misuse of public funds?
The Sri Lankan government entrusted the funds to the World Meteorological Organization, which is a UN institution. They called for tenders and recommended a suitable bidder to provide the technology for Sri Lanka. Therefore, I do not think that anyone can say that public funds have been misused in this case. Someone selected Gongala as a location for the system. Gongala has very rough terrain. When I look back on it, I see this as the root of all the problems.
ගොංගල හයි කරන්නේ. ඒ ගොංගල කියන තැන හරිම කටුක තැනක්. ඒක තමයි ඇත්තට මේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට මුල මට පේන විදිහට.
Close to 50 million rupees has been spent on this. When will the people be able to reap benefit from it?
There was a major obstacle to send the 2 parts to America as well due to the hardships on the road. At present, we are trying to send the parts to America as soon as possible. It should not take much time once the parts are sent to America.
Incidentally, on the 29th of January this year, the 50 million rupee Doppler Radar system, which was abandoned with the excuse that a technical fault had caused it to become inoperational, fell prey to thieves.
These are public funds. The media has revealed the value as 50 million. When there was a disaster in Aranayaka, why didn't these systems give out any signal? The Ministry of Disaster Management is responsible for this, and they should interrogate the officers who are responsible. Who recommended these? Who recommended the American company? Who is responsible for this?
What is evident through all of this is that the people of Sri Lanka who do not have access to advanced meteorological technology must rely on the website of the Met Department for information on weather. However, the website too is not conducive for the rapid dissemination of information. While weather updates and forecasts are provided real time in the rest of the world, in Sri Lanka, weather forecasts are only made twice or thrice in a 24-hour period.
1 person was killed and 2 others injured during a rock slide in the Tittagala area in Ahangama. The police noted that a large rock above a quarry in the area had come loose due to the rain this morning and had fallen on the victims. A 59-year-old man from Tittagala was killed in the incident. 2 other men who were injured in the rock slide have been admitted to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe addressed a group of Rotary International representatives from 150 nations in Seoul, South Korea today.
The 107th Rotary International Convention commenced at the Korean International Exhibition Center under the auspices of UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and the South Korean Premier Hwang Kyo-an. The keynote speech was delivered by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. In his address, the Prime Minister highlighted the importance of such international organizations in an era in which the role of governments and service organizations is undergoing rapid transformation. He noted that in the aftermath of the 2008 global financial crisis, many governments had to adopt austerity measures to minimize budget deficits, leading to welfare cuts and structural changes. However, Wickremesinghe noted that financial discipline, budget control and minimizing budget deficits does not mean that governments can abandon certain social welfare responsibilities. Adding that public service too needs to be transformed to be more goal-oriented, the Prime Minister highlighted the importance of women's representation in government and service organizations.
One area that requires a lot of work is in the area of women's representation, both in government and in service organizations. Women need to be included, not only as members and support groups, but also as office bearers at local levels as well as in the highest echelons of government.
The reappointment of officials accused of being involved in corruption under the previous regime to positions in ministries has come under fire from many sectors of society, including on the political stage. Anusha Palpita was indicted in the High Court over a transaction involving silk cloth under the previous regime, has been appointed as the Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Home Affairs. When inquiries were made, the Minister of Home Affairs had this to say.
Anusha Palpita, who has indictments against him at the High Court, is being appointed as an Additional Secretary. The Ministry of Home Affairs.
The media is saying this. If you can locate that appointment for me, it will be great. I have not seen any letter. If there's a letter, please show it to me.
However, the Public Service Commission confirmed on Friday that a letter noting that Palpita had been indicted had been received from the Minister of Public Administration. Dharmasena Disanayake, the chairman of the commission, noted that the Public Service Commission will meet on Tuesday to take a decision with regard to Anusha Palpita. Meanwhile, former Director General of the Divinagama Development Department, RAAK Ranawaka, who is also facing accusations of corruption, has been appointed as Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resource Management. Secretary to the Minister of Public Administration and Management, J. Dadalage, had this to say on the matter.
The Financial Crimes Investigation Division, or the FCID, has not given us notice regarding any official as yet.
Minister Arjuna Ranatunga had this to say on the appointments.
Even if our government commits any wrong, I will not condone it. We will inform people. I am especially dissatisfied with the appointment of certain secretaries. We discuss these matters in the cabinet, at party meetings, and when we meet with the President and the Prime Minister. We will be able to see decisions taken as a result in the near future. What has happened now is that while we are hasty when such investigations are undertaken, it can take time to either convict or acquit people. While we have talented officers, there is a dearth in the number of officers to take on all these cases. We have faced several such problems in the recent past.
On a special segment, The Frontline, this evening, we have political commentator Bandula Jayasekara joining us. Good evening, Bandula.
Good evening, Arundhati.
Well, my first question to you is, now two former officials with accusations of corruption against them have been appointed as additional secretaries to ministries. Now, how do you see this development?
I would say, first, these two officers, they know they're accused or there are allegations. They have a responsibility not to accept this. So there is a big uproar. But I would say they should ask themselves, okay, you see them on court, you see them accused in the media. First they should say, no, we should not accept, and they should try to clear their names. That's what they should do.
Okay. Now, Minister Vajra Abewardana says that he is not aware of this appointment. Is this possible?
I think that's a very silly statement. I think he's appearing to be innocent. He's the minister in charge. If he doesn't know this, how come he is the minister in charge? Then he should resign. If he cannot, if he doesn't know who's going to be, and this is a senior position, additional secretary. So I think he's behaving like a baby. That's what really which I saw now. He should resign, or he should say he should not hold that position.
Right, and we have the Public Services Commission saying that they have in fact received a letter of his appointment. So in that case, the leadership is denying this.
Yeah, Sri Lanka is a small country. It's not that they give freedom to the secretaries or anybody. Minister knows it. When a transfers, even sometimes an office assistant, minister is aware of it. I want to say this openly. I mean, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but what we have discussed in our programs like Newsline and particularly what we have said, that there are accusations against the minister for protecting certain officials, which I read. I think the JVP said that he is even protected former officials of the defense ministry. So there is also uproar for him to resign by these anti-corruption groups.
Now, we see this trend in many areas in the country, even in the government. What can we do to put an end to this?
I think we should, there was a change. People wanted the change, and they wanted the real change. And when you explain that, Arundhati, it's not only officials. There are ministers. Just because you cross over, that doesn't mean that you are clean. So all these people have to be investigated, and that's what the people are waiting for. So we should keep and put pressure, but I really wouldn't know whether our pressure is working. There's a civil society, there's so much of pressure from the media, but are they listening? That's the question we have to ask. Will the politicians listen? Till they listen, nothing would happen. I mean, not in my lifetime.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chayasekar, for joining us on Frontline this evening.
Thank you, Arun.
The 25th anniversary celebrations of the Shea and Ikebana and Floral Arts Society of Sri Lanka, entitled Silver Dazzle, was held in Colombo yesterday.
A floral fashion show presented by internationally acclaimed floral designer Haryanto Setiawan from Singapore was also in store.
Japan and Sri Lanka has always had very good relations. Yesterday, President Sirisena was in Japan and has attended the G7 summit meeting that we are hosting in Ise, Shima. President Maitripala Sirisena has explained the situation of Sri Lanka, what his government is doing in front of the G7 leaders, and has received warm welcome and encouragement from these leaders. So I think that was a great opportunity for Sri Lanka.
In sports news, the opening ceremony for the International Optimist Dingy Association Asian and Oceanian Championship 2016 took place in the course of Trincomalee today. The championship is sponsored by Sports First. The opening ceremony was held under the auspices of Navy Commander, Officer of the Eastern Province, Rear Admiral Travis Sinha, organized by the Yachting Association of Sri Lanka. The championship will see around 120 competitors under the ages of 15 to 16 countries battle against each other. Now, competitors were seen having their final training sessions ahead of the games tomorrow. International level optimist competitors are also attending the championship. Sri Lanka's votes continued on day 3 of the second test at Chester Lee Street today, as Stuart Broad and James Anderson cleaned up the law order to restrict the visitors to 101 all-out in their first innings. Kusal Mendes top scored for Sri Lanka with 35 runs. England declared their first innings on 498 for 9 yesterday. Following on, Sri Lanka are currently on 214 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. Also in sports news, the 58th ABU or Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union Sports Group Conference and associated meetings was held in Colombo today.
The two-day conference will focus on the status of the ABU sports initiatives such as the production and transmission to content sharing platform. Neeta Veerasinghe, Group Director of Electronic Media Business of the Capital Maharaj Organisation Limited, attended the conference where she made a presentation on the Sri Lankan perspective on domestic and international sports broadcasting. The process of obtaining broadcasting rights for future world sporting events were also discussed at the conference. Key factors on how modern technology can play a vital role in sports broadcasting were also discussed today.